They are 7th in the league in attendance here in Oklahoma City. I mean, and understand, this team came here in September.
Yeah, and look at the fans right now. They're standing up. I think they're excited to have a team here.
Last night, they drew just 7,000 in Baton Rouge on the campus of LSU. They'll be playing 5 more games there as they try to still pay tribute to their fans in Louisiana. Here is Tony Parker. Kicks it off to Michael Finley. And Finley drains the jumper about the spot he hit the game winner last night.
It's too easy. That's a nice combination there, Tony Parker to Michael Finley. I think we're going to see that a lot more often.
Finley bumped his average up to 10.6 now, as making his 4th consecutive start and his 6th overall. Mason. They love Desmond Mason, the one-time Oklahoma State star out of Waxahachie, Texas. He averages 9+ points a game and better than 3 rebounds. Had 9 in the loss to Phoenix the other night in Baton Rouge.
I couldn't figure out why he was unhappy coming back here. I think he was just upset about being traded from Milwaukee, but like you said, they love him here.
Rasho Nesterovic gives the Spurs a 4-2 lead. Yeah, and Mason, I think, also realized in Milwaukee, all right, you got the #1 draft pick in Bogut, you got TJ Ford healthy. You know, they kept Red with their club and making a little bit more of a commitment. Look like they're got a pretty good team, and they do. Mason can't finish here. Here is Paul. You mentioned one of the things you like is his rebounding ability. He sneaks in for that one.
That's a talent. He's always around the basketball. Steals, rebounds, he gets a lot of loose balls, a lot of hustle points.
Finley drops it down to Rasho again. P.J. Brown working on him. Rasho the fadeaway, no, and the rebound comes off to J.R. Smith.
Rasho trying to work in a low block early on. Stepped out the second possession, hit a jump shot, trying to go out P.J. Brown with a low block.
Tim Duncan and Chris Paul, the Wake Forest guys, if you will, meeting there. Here is Paul again as Tim comes out to hedge. And open for the jumper, and up and good. David West, 3rd year out of Xavier. This is the guy, when McGlory was sending the trade, he needed to step up and play, and they've been very impressed with him.
Yeah, he's done a terrific job. He's a good rebounder, and now you can see he can step outside and shoot that jump shot as well.
Parker slips to Duncan. Tim drops the jumper, and the Spurs make it a 6-4 game here in the early going. 9:38 to go. Paul in trouble, flips it back out to J.R. Smith. He finds West. West can't hit. Tony retrieves, and here comes San Antonio.
I like the look of this young Hornets team. They move the basketball. Paul plays under control.
Ball is kicked. Spurs will get it. 16 on the shot clock.
And J.R. Smith, you know, he can shoot the basketball as well. He can knock down the three-pointers, and he's an exceptional athlete.
Finley gets it back from Duncan. Shot won't fall. The rebound comes off to Mason. Mason come off his best year last year with 17-point per game average with the Bucks. Inside now, got by Tony and up over Tim as well. Came over to help.
Chris Paul can pass the basketball. No question about it. He's patient. He's waiting for Desmond Mason to post up Tony Parker, and he puts the pass right on the money.
Spurs with Duncan against P.J. Brown. Tim can't hit. Rasho kicks to Finley. Had a notion to come right back to Tim, and they'll reset with Tony. Parker on the drive. Oh, a rare missed layup from Tony Parker.
Maybe it was the presence of P.J. Brown there that forced the quick shot.
Paul pulls up, can't hit, rebound, deflects off 2 Spurs, right back to Paul. Well, Paul is the #1 rookie scorer in the league, 16 points a game. He is 10th in the league in assists overall, #1 among the rookies. And he's 5th overall in steals, #1 among the rookies. The Spurs steal this one back. Parker on the drive. Oh, he had to shoot it with his left hand. That was the problem.
That was it. The first layup was too easy. Had to make the difficult one.
8-6 Spurs. Parker last night, huge effort. 25, 6 boards, a dozen assists. Top assist total of the year.
He's really using that left hand to his advantage.
6 on the shot clock for the Hornets. Brown initiates the contact, didn't get the call. Bruce Bowen scrambling for it on the deck, and West with it. He weaves his way in. Goodness gracious, no call on any of that.
Well, there was no call there.
And both teams looking around saying, everybody okay? Body sprawling.
Well, West turns around and immediately just tries to score the basketball. And, you know, he's creating the contact there as well. He wants the foul call, but he partly hooks Rasho Nesterovic as well.
The ball back to the Hornets with 7:26 to go first quarter. Paul to West, try to slip it inside. Rasho tapped it away. 10 on the shot clock. West on the drive, and this time it does get the contact and count it.
That's going to be a tough cover there for Rasho Nesterovic because West has the ability to put the ball on the floor. Here he is dancing with it. A guy like this who can put the ball down 2 and 3 times and get in the lane is going to be a difficult cover for Rasho Nesterovic. He's not the type of center that you want coming out on the floor to guard smaller, quicker guys.
First foul of the night on Rasho as West gets the three-point play, and the Hornets take the lead 9-8. Duncan, Parker, fouled and to the line. Great look by Tim. Great communication between the two 20-point scorers.
Now that's taking advantage of the rookie there. Chris Paul wants to play the passing lanes. He has 50 steals this year, averaging 2.2 steals a game. And so he's going to try to get out there, play the passing lane against Tony Parker. Tony goes backdoor, and Tim puts the pass on the money.
There's a look at Tony's numbers. What a terrific season for a fifth-year player. You think of Chris Paul at 20 years old. Tony's an old man now at 23. He's the veteran
crazy
of that hookup,
yeah,
isn't he?
The way this league's going, guys going to be retiring at 26 and being in the league for 12 years.
Here's Tony's second shot. Got his own rebound. Goes back up and scores. He says, hey, I can rebound.
Yeah, I can rebound.
About that rookie.
I can go stick my nose in there.
And Tony does just that.
He's showing some leaping ability as well.
He had a real sense of exactly where he knew that ball was off. Just went and got it.
You always know where your misses are going shooting free throws.
On the drive, and a foul situation here as Desmond Mason will be shooting free throws. Go back to Tony's effort on the miss.
Well, of all people on the foul line, the person shooting the basketball, the shooter, should have a better understanding of where his ball is coming off, and Tony Parker does exactly that. They're able to come down with the offensive board and put back.
Parker, 5 with the Spurs, 11 the early going. Robert Horry is going to check in for San Antonio. There's Mason at the free throw line. He's 62% for this. Rasho Nesterovic comes out as Horry checks in. Rasho picking up his second foul.
Well, he's forced to help there on Desmond Mason. Michael Finley might have to space Mason just a little bit more.
Mason, swirl in. And we're tied at 11. Presses on, West swipes it from Parker.
Wow. Nice hands for a big man.
Yeah, this is a guy that's listed 6'9", 240, goes right down and takes it away from the little guy.
You just don't see that happen very often.
Not at all with Tony Parker.
That's like a play that a big man puts in his highlight reel, taking it from a small.
8 on the shot clock. Bruce Bowen all the way across court. Finley rotates to Horry. He lets go with the 3. Yep. Instant offense for Robert Horry. He's kind of hobbling up the court here. You see rubbing that left knee. Robert Horry coming in averaging 5 points a game. Had 6 points on a couple of threes against Sacramento last night.
The Spurs caught the Hornets cheating, trying to help out on Tim Duncan in the lane. That time they got burned.
Fadeaway won't go for West, but P.J. Brown on the boards gives to Mason. His deuce is good. And it's 15-14 Hornets.
That's okay. You got to make Desmond Mason shoot the ball rather than taking it to the rim. Guy's a terrific athlete. He gets anywhere near the bucket, he might put you in there.
He's got 8 of the Hornets' 15. Parker back out to Horry. Fires again. Rebound Brown. Paul kicks it off. J.R. Smith. He is a threat from long range, and Smith does not hit this one. Shooting 43% on threes this year.
You can definitely see how Chris Paul picks his spots. He can penetrate, he gets in the lane, He's very under control and a terrific passer.
Yeah, does not look like a guy who just spent 2 years in college and coming in the NBA. Offensive foul. Bruce Bowen called for the foul. First on Bruce, and timeout call.
The Hornets cheating, helping in on Tim Duncan, and Robert Horry left wide open in the corner. Take that, rookie.
We'll be right back. Spurs on the short side. Hoops here tonight. Spurs and Tim Duncan on the short side in the early going. The Spurs coming in having won 3 straight. Clippers in overtime, at Minnesota by 2, and Sacramento in San Antonio last night. And as a result, they've won 9 of their last 10. And Speedy Claxton, the former Spur, comes in. Came over from Golden State last year.
You're talking about the Spurs winning 9 out of their last 10. But a lot of those games, they've come away the same way I've come away from the games, kind of feeling almost like you lost because you haven't played your best. They're, don't get me wrong, they're happy to get the wins and they're happy to come out of the ball game. A lot of those escaping their opponents, but at the same time, they want to improve. They want to get better.
Desmond Mason's had the hot hand. Can't hit here. Froman. No. And the tip is finally good. P.J. Brown.
Froman had a 2-foot chip shot there, and Tim Duncan scared him off.
Horry gives to Bowen. Spurs also have Barry in the lineup. Brent with the ball right now. Steal by P.J. Brown. Looking for Paul. Nice job to come up with the catch as Tony was hugging him. What a pass to Froman. And the presence of Horry scared him too. Because Robert didn't even try to block him.
No, he didn't. That's where your big man had to go up there and try to put Robert Horry in the basket.
Bowen. Back to Tim. Duncan with the jumper. Couldn't get it to go off the glass, and the rebound comes off to Froman. He's a guy that's added some energy to this club. Here's Paul. P.J. Brown. P.J. Brown averages 10 points a game. Got a little bit of a slow start this year, but they think he's coming out of it. He had a double-double with 20 points and 13 boards in the last outing against Phoenix.
He's an underrated outside shooter for sure. But I think the Spurs are going to have to make Chris Paul score some points in the lane.
Parker with a miss. Jackson Froman with a rebound.
Every time he gets the basketball, he's penetrating, he's getting in the lane, and he's just dishing it out to somebody for an easy jump shot. Much the same way Tony Parker does.
Well, very similar. Brown posting up over Bowen. No. Froman kept it alive, but there's a reason. Came over the back. And Jackson Froman, second year out of Iowa State, picks up the loose ball foul.
And somebody picked up a technical foul. I think it was Bruce Bowen.
Yeah, it was.
We have a technical foul on Spurs number 12, Bruce Bowen.
And Pop was kind of wondering what it was.
Well, that's a rarity.
Definitely. And just heard Pop say, can you at least tell us what for?
Yeah, well, he wants to call there. That's what he's upset about. P.J. Brown gets away with a definite offensive foul. Bruce Bowen had a little more to say about it after the whistle.
And now a timeout is called. 3:09 to go first quarter. Hornets on a little run, lead it by 5, 19-14. What a tribute.
Yeah, I mean, he's going off screens all the time. When you're talking about chasing guards through double and triple screens, it's amazing that your body still holds up.
Last night it's Peja Stojakovic. Every night it's just a different player, and he can guard about anything from a 1 to a 4. Horry with a miss. Rebound. Parker saves to Barry. Robert Horry was headed to the rack, and now pass deflected, and it is stolen by Paul. And he was fouled by Tim Duncan before falling out of bounds. Well, that's why he did.
That's just uncharacteristic Spurs basketball there. They get the second opportunity after they save the ball, and they just panic with it. They just throw it all over the place instead of just relaxing, letting Tim Duncan get established in the low block, feeding him the basketball.
So Fabricio Oberto comes into the game for the Spurs, and he didn't play last night against Sacramento. In fact, hasn't played 3 of the last 4. 17th game appearance of the season. He's been averaging about 8 minutes a game. This time aggressive, but can't finish. Tapped out to Bruce Bowen. Bruce leading the break. Gets it to Parker. Back out to Ori. Rotates to Barry. 2:20 to go in the quarter. Spurs need a bucket. Fabricio. Barry. 8 on the shot clock. Robert Ori for the jumper. And the rebound, Chris Paul.
That was good ball movement there. Fabricio was in a tough situation. He's got in the ball game, and the Spurs are leaving him out there to go one-on-one against P.J. Brown.
Mason. Ori with its double team. Back out. Out of Speedy Claxton, end of rope. He walked.
Froman's having a tough time down there.
He is.
Missed a couple chip shots, finally gets aggressive. Can't get it to go. Alberto doing a terrific job moving his feet, keeping his position. He forces that turnover.
Barry with it now. Spurs been out rebounded 13-8 in this game. Brent kicks it all the way out of bounds. Wow. So the Spurs have turned it over 5 times to just 2 for the Hornets. They've been out rebounded by 5. And not a field goal for San Antonio since the 6-minute mark. We just hit 1:25 to go in the quarter.
Well, we talked about the game plan, bringing energy. Probably should have changed that to bring some focus. 5 turnovers in the first quarter.
Mason. Paul comes from out of bounds to get it, then Parker brings it over here, and last touch by Tony. And to be very honest, they're playing hard. You mentioned maybe the focus isn't there. They also can't get a bounce either. It's one of those nights.
A lot of long rebounds and penetrations that take your rebounders out of position.
Mason, stopped by Bowen for the moment, now to Claxton. And a foul called on Brent Barry.
Spurs foul on number 17, Brent Barry. That's his first.
Again, a tough situation when you have Speedy Claxton, Chris Paul out there. It's extremely difficult to get 2 guys that can guard all that quickness. Pop settles back in his zone here. He's had enough of watching these little guys penetrate.
Inside a minute here, first quarter, 7 on the shot clock for the Hornets. Claxton. Taken away, here is Barry. Backs it out for some help. How about a 3? Thank you, Brent. That stops the drought. Barry last night hit just 1 of 5 from the floor. At 3 points in the Sacramento win. Spurs within 2. Paul tries to answer, and Broman is there to rescue it.
Broman finally gets an easy one. I don't know if that was a pass or a shot. It looked like it was an air ball from about 4 feet away, and Broman there to clean up the mess.
They wanted to get a 2 for 1, and they will get another opportunity. 10 on the shot clock, 17 in the game now. Here is Parker. Robert Ori. Alberto to Robert, and he will go to the line now.
Look at Alberto making the right pass.
Yeah, Robert Ori looking like he was going to try to get a foul on a 3, and Broman didn't go for it. All right, pass and cut to the basket.
A little give and go. And it's nice to know that you have a guy out there that understands how to play. You know, Alberto, he's not going to get the ball. He's not going to make a rash decision. He gives it right back to Robert.
And Ori trying to pull the Spurs within a pair. It's the first.
Robert Ori clearly in trouble. Alberto steps out, helps him out, gives him the ball right back as he's cutting to the basket.
Robert, one more shot coming up. 66% on the season. Shooters roll. 21-19. 6 seconds to go in the quarter. Paul. Over Alberto. No. And that's the end of the first quarter. All things considered, for the Spurs to be down 2, not a bad deal.
Not bad. Again, they haven't played their best ball yet. Defensively, they have a few things they need to cover up, specifically the penetration, but overall, not a bad start.
Spurs on a night where they start off shooting 44%, trail by 2, 21-19. We'll be right back here in Oklahoma City. And and by Southwest Airlines, official airline of the NBA. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Bill and Sean Elliott with at the Ford Center in Oklahoma City. Hornets lead it as we start the second quarter of play. Hornets shot just 36% in the first quarter, but out-rebounded the Spurs by 6. And the shot missed here by Claxton. Nick Van Exel thought he had it tapped away, and so did he. But the call goes against the Spurs, and that's the 6th turnover of the night. Just 3 for the Hornets.
Well, Nick turned and caught that ball. He was trying to lead the break before he assessed the situation, and the big man stepped right in front of him and lost the basketball. Again, you're talking about focus 6 turnovers in the first quarter.
Spurs, of course, set that record earlier this week against the Clippers with just 4 turnovers. It's a franchise record, and that was in an overtime game.
Yeah, now you have 6 already, and you're starting the second quarter. It's crazy.
Van Exel with it out front. Spurs, Deuce would tie, 3 would take the lead as Barry comes off the Alberto screen, and a foul is called on Rasul Butler. His first action tonight. Butler picking up the foul, 4th year out of LaSalle, averages just under 5 points a game. Spurs scoring, Parker with 5 and Ori with 5. The other way, it was Desmond Mason with 8 quick ones, and West has 7. 7 on the shot clock. Ori to the corner for Finley. Michael under pressure, got it to go. Michael Finley.
Wow, now he's starting to pull all kinds of stuff out of his bag. Stopping on a dime, giving you a pump fake. Still dropping jump shots over the defender.
You know, just his 4th straight start, his 6th start overall, but each game you see a little something else, don't you?
Do.
As far as him just taking a little bit more initiative. Kind of feeling more comfortable. Long shot wouldn't go that time for Butler. Here come the Spurs. Alberto and Claxton comes down to take it away from Fabricio.
He put it down little man's territory, and Speed Claxton's waiting on it.
Tried to give it off to Broman. He was fortunate that it was picked up on the other side. And West kicks it back out. 10 on the shot clock. J.R. Smith against Barry. And Brent picks up the personal foul. 2nd on Brent. Rasho Nesterovic comes into your picture as he re-enters the game for Robert Ori. Ten on the shot clock for New Orleans. Game even.
Spurs fall back in that zone again. You just have to stay active on the perimeter. Force a contested jump shot. Like that one right there.
And Butler drains it. That happens all night, you just tip your cap.
Exactly. That didn't look like a good shot when he let it go. Got it to go, got it to drop for him.
Out of bounds, be Spurs basketball tonight. To the disagreement of Byron Scott and 18,000 here at the Ford Center. Barry with it. Sweeping hook. Rasho trying to keep it alive, but it's taken away by West.
That was a nice attempt there. It was pretty.
Van Exel working on the taller Smith, and they're unable to execute, and it's turned over. Barry flips back to Van Exel. Now to Finley. Fabricio, and the reverse, and the Spurs tied again at 23.
And how unselfish is Michael Finley on that play? Could have easily taken that first 3-point ball, gives you a ball fake, then he finds Alberto wide open underneath, and unselfishly makes that pass. And that kind of stuff, when you make passes like that, you're the newcomer, that just helps build chemistry.
8th time the game has been tied. J.R. Smith cannot untie it, and Finley pulls down the rebound. Michael been averaging over 3 boards a game. Van Exel gives to Rasho. In against Broman. Oh, the feathery touch on the hook shot.
Kareem Abdul-Nesterovic. Wasn't bad there, Rasho.
Boy, it just rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? Didn't know he got through the name change. You're all over this thing.
That was a nice little running hook shot. Sky hook.
Wet. The other way. Spurs live. The lead is short-lived, I should say, as it's tied up again at 25.
But David West continues to impress. He's been a pleasant surprise for this organization. Last year wasn't nearly the ball player that he is this year. It's been surprising. There he goes again.
And Rasho again. Say, hey, work once, why not another time?
I remember when Rasho played for the Timberwolves one year and he scored 24 on us, and he kept going to that right-handed hook, and I was sitting there on the set going, please somebody make him go left. And there he is going right 2 times in a row, showing him his touch. We like him going right.
And the Hornets counter. Once again, Butler this time, and it's 27 apiece. 7:22 to go first half here at the Port Center.
All right, Butler makes one more, then you have to get on him. It's like backyard games where you dare a guy to shoot it a couple times, he makes 2 on you, you're like, okay, one more and I'm gonna guard you.
Try to go to Van Exel, posting up. Claxton comes up with it. Smith. Travel.
There was nothing there. This is an experience. That's when you bring it back out, give it to Speedy Claxton, start running some offense.
Well, the Spurs getting some help off the bench, and then Rasho, Kareem-like tonight.
Great pass there by Finley, and slick move by Alberto, going around the defense for a pretty reverse layup. And then Rasho, oh, that's not number 33 for the Lakers, that's Rasho Nesterovic.
All remaining toys are donated to the Christus Santa Rosa Children's Hospital. Check out Spurs.com for more details. Foul out front on Speedy Claxton. His first. Team foul number 2 on the Hornets. 1 on the Spurs here in the second quarter. Byron Scott thinks it over. Last year, they were 11-30 down at New Orleans Arena in their home games. Last year, talk about a rough start. After 23 games last year, they were 2-21. Here they sit 10-13, going through unbelievable relocation, roster moves. Good response. Barry with a miss.
I don't know if Brent was ready to shoot that ball when it came out. Normally he shoots the ball, he doesn't bend his legs a lot, but it looked like he was caught straight leg that time.
Tied at 27. Hornets. Paul, and they say it was a kick. So, shot clock back to 14, and Hornets basketball. P.J. Brown's going to come back in for New Orleans, Oklahoma City.
Number 42, P.J. Brown.
Froman gets a hand for his hustle, had a couple of points and 4 rebounds while he was in. Here's Smith with it again. Tim nearly pawed it away from West. Oh, West, that little fadeaway down.
Yeah, he's showing us something today for sure. Especially with his ability to put the ball on the floor. That's your 4-man right there, putting it down a couple times, stopping and showing you some mid-range game.
He's playing with a little poise about him when he's going against the 2-time MVP Tim Duncan. Didn't look nervous.
No, he did not at all in that last one anyways.
Timeout is called. West has 11 points, the only player in double figure for either club. The Spurs on the short side, 29-27 here in OKC. Tony Parker, usually operating at a high level of speed. Got 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in the early going for the Spurs. The Spurs leading scorer is Kareem Abdul-Nesterovic with 6 points tonight. Two of them on the sky hook.
After those back-to-back jump hooks. Scary.
Parker down to Tim Duncan. Tim can get going. A little short on this one. Turnaround comes off, and the Hornets want to push it.
Maybe needs Rasho to teach him how to shoot that jump hook.
J.R. Smith dumps it down low to West, and now to Butler. And Butler drops another jumper.
All right, you can start guarding him now. That's 3.
3 and 4 from the floor, 6 points, 2 rebounds for Butler.
The first one he knocked down, thought was a bad shot, hit nothing but the bottom. It's proven that he can shoot the ball.
Steal. Paul gives it up, got it back, is it in? Timeout Spurs.
And that injects some energy into this crowd because they were absolutely catatonic coming out of that timeout. There was no atmosphere whatsoever in this building. All you need is a break, a couple spectacular plays. Tim Duncan trying to make something happen. Chris Paul steps in there, plays the passing lane, takes it away. Comes back with a nice layup.
8-0 run, Oklahoma City up by 6. Welcome back, 33-27. Hornets on top, Spurs with the basketball. An 8-0 run. As Sean mentioned, this arena that's gotten rave reviews for being a loud house of the NBA was very quiet. That little run got him going. Bruce Bowen can't silence him. Tim tries to keep it going. And the rebound is pulled off by West. West has had 7 20-plus points scoring games in his last 13 outings. He's off to a good start here tonight with 11 points and 3 rebounds. Let's go out of bounds and go back to the Spurs.
That was a slick pass there by Chris Paul, dropping it off to J.R. Smith. Unfortunately for Smith, he's not able to knock down that shot. Otherwise, that might make a few highlight films.
Duncan with it, looks low. Michael Finley for the deuce.
And Michael just working off a double screen there at the left block. Could have chosen to come to the top of the key or go to the opposite block. He goes to the opposite block, gets his man picked off, and gets an easy layup.
Half dozen for Finn. Paul, everything but in, and Tim kicks it off to Tony. Duncan, 2 points, 2 rebounds. 12 minutes with the possession again. And the foul is called.
Right, but he makes a quick move and he gets himself to the free throw line instead of holding the basketball.
P.J. Brown, the foul. Let's go back to Duncan on the passing end.
Well, Michael Finley had a choice. He could go up to the top. Looks like his defender's up there waiting on him, and Michael Finley's down low. And there's Tim making a quick move and getting himself to the free throw line.
Yeah, it seems, Sean, that the Hornets know the Spurs plays.
Yeah.
And they're cheating a little bit, and so far it's paid off for the most part tonight as they anticipate whether it's a passing lane or where they're going to the next spot.
Right, that's why you have to have several options off of every play. And that time, Michael Finley took option B, gets a layup. Option A is coming to the elbow near the free throw line, getting a jump shot there. His defender was cheating on that play and got burned.
Duncan makes it 33-30, and Tim will get another. Got this one to go, and Tim coming in 19th in the league in scoring at 20.7, 3rd in rebounds at 12.3, and 6th in blocks, 2.6. Paul comes off the screen to P.J. Brown. Kicks it back to P.J. Can't hit, and the rebound, Bowen outlets to Parker. Spurs a chance to tie again or take the lead with a 3. Duncan looking for the handle, back to Finley. Fires for 2. West, another big rebound. Paul, little change of pace over Duncan. Wow.
Did a nice job, and that's another soft pass.
Smith going for the slam. And the rebound comes back to the Hornets. This place was going to explode. Now he tries the 3. And the rebound still can't be controlled. And now here is Parker. Tony to the rack. And charging is the call.
Not a good sequence there. You have a pass that's too soft, it gets picked off. The Spurs avoid a basket coming back at them. They get the rebound, outlet to Tony Parker, and he's out of control. That's an easy call to make. He just runs right into the defense. When you talk about, the focus again, 2 crucial mistakes. Those, I should say, sloppy mistakes. Just don't see happen very often.
Robert Horry and Tim Duncan converge and tell Desmond Mason a high flyer to get that trip. 7 on the shot clock for the Hornets on the inbounds. Brown, nobody stepped out to pick him up. They're fortunate. This is a wide open jumper. P.J. Brown, just 2 of 7 from the floor tonight.
That's well within his range there.
Spurs come back to Tim Duncan. Double team, Parker. Finds Bowen for three. And Bruce can't get it to fall either. Bruce dropped to number 2 in the NBA three-point leadership as far as percentage. He is behind Capono now from Miami.
They'll probably shoot 2 or 3 a game, and that's it.
Yeah, Bruce has considerably more attempts. 10 on the shot clock for the Hornets. 2:18 to go in this half. Paul dumps it off to Brown and is blocked, and here comes Finley with it. Oh my, P.J. Brown purely frustrated and was going to level Finley. And now the coaches come out.
Everybody take a deep breath here.
That's exactly right, because nobody leave the bench area either, because those are instant suspensions.
Yeah. Well, P.J. Brown was frustrated, thought he got fouled, and takes it out on Michael Finley.
Totally uncalled for.
Yeah.
And Robert Horry saying, hey, P.J., go about your business.
Guy just a little too much testosterone. P.J. Brown, you know, he thought he got fouled when he went up with his first shot there. Probably did. Tim Duncan was on his right arm. And
well, okay, then go hit the referee.
Yeah, go talk to the referee about it.
I mean,
that's just a frustration foul.
And it's also, don't you think it's a little surprising? This is his 13th year in the league. He's 36 years old.
He's a citizenship award winner.
Yeah, I mean, come on. This is totally out of character for P.J. Brown. He's a terrific guy.
Yeah, he never loses his cool. I mean,
Michael Finley didn't say that right now.
That just goes to show you. I mean, you get guys out here in a heated situation, and anybody can lose their mind.
So as they sort it out, Pop is the listener at the moment, and see what they're going to come up with here.
And they're going to see, this to me is the old cop-out when Michael Finley's going to get a double technical. He's going to get a technical for what?
The guy took a cheap shot at him.
Yeah, you know, are you supposed
and what
to?
did he do?
Yeah, he stands up and he defends himself. He didn't throw a punch. He just had some choice words for P.J. Brown, and I'm sure he's going to get a technical foul for it. I guess that makes sense, huh? You get hammered and you get the technical. And in fairness to P.J. Brown, he probably did get fouled, but again, like you said, you don't take it out on the other player.
All right, the technical on Brown, and a flagrant one on Brown as well, and a technical on Horry and a technical on Finley.
Okay, there you have it. I guess Robert Horry's supposed to sit there and twiddle his thumbs while his teammate gets pummeled to the floor.
And Finley go to the line at the other end, 36-31. Well, and that also, wasn't that the 15th foul on the Hornets?
We had a technical foul on Desmond Mason.
And a technical foul on Desmond Mason as well. And now Robert Horry is laughing with Mason going, well, join the party here.
Yeah, we're trying to sort this whole thing out here. Why don't we just give everybody a technical foul and have a free throw shooting contest? Probably simpler.
Yeah, my sons played in the league at one time where the game started where everybody got to shoot a free throw on both teams. And you picked up. Well, maybe that's just do here is bring them all out here. We'll take a little break. Say, all right, we'll see who. And then everybody says, now let's go play some basketball. And Michael Finley, taking care of business, hits them both.
So who got technical fouls and who didn't? Who got flagrant fouls and who didn't?
Well,
obviously P.J. Brown got a technical foul or a flagrant foul, but Chris Paul shot a free throw when apparently Desmond Mason got a technical and Robert Horry got a technical,
and Finley got a technical. Well, P.J. Brown, I also understand that his family relocated to Houston. He lost 2 houses in the hurricane back in New Orleans. And so things add up off the court when things don't go well on the court. And he has had, I guess, a season in which you show some of your age.
Sure.
Things been inconsistent. Now the Spurs turn it over. And Brent Berry checks into the game. Michael Finley. All right, well, that woke everybody up if the tempo was a little slow in here. Hornets with the lead by 2. Paul with a jumper and hits it. 37-33.
You see how quick Chris Paul is. He turns that corner and he dazzles Tim Duncan with a couple dribbling moves, some crossovers, and raises right in his face and shoots a jump shot.
6 points for Paul. Robert Horry with it. 1:30 to go in the half. Floats it to the corner. Poor pass to Bruce Bowen. And the Hornets come up with a steal. The Spurs just not clicking. And Paul with a miss. Perry with a rebound.
They're dodging a lot of bullets, but they're just not taking care of the basketball. They're sloppy with it.
How about 13 turnovers, Sean?
Wow.
And Parker, and this one will count. That'll be goaltending.
The Birdman, Chris Anderson, just there a little too late.
Out of Blinn Junior College.
Looked like he caught that ball off the glass. Sure did.
Here's Paul. Inside a minute to go, first half. J.R. Smith can't hit. Loose one. Horry clears. Now to Berry. Spurs down a pair. 37-35. Robert Horry gives to Duncan. It cuts away. 10 on the shot clock. Double team comes to Tim. Bowen rotates. Parker the floater.
That floater goes from anywhere.
Nice move by Tony. Had an open jumper. Took the better shot.
Well, a terrific ball movement there. Tim Duncan getting it out of the double team. Bruce Bowen finding Tony Parker in the corner. That's the way you move the ball around the horn.
The Spurs' previous low for a half this season, 36. That was a week ago in Atlanta, Saturday. 37-37 here, so they take care of that problem. And a foul is now called on Vroman.
He comes up here and he blindsides Bruce Bowen. You've got to give him a step or two to adjust. Bruce backs up into a brick wall there. And Vroman just continues his struggles tonight.
Parker, 4 seconds, trying to get one off. Blocked by Anderson. 2 on the shot clock, or the game clock. As impressive as it looked, Anderson would have been better off to try to control that block.
Exactly. I wonder why more guys don't do that. But the reason he's even able to get to that block is because Tony Parker has to pick up the ball near the free throw line. If he's able to get another dribble, then he's able to control his body more, throw his body into Anderson. Here, he's doomed. As soon as he picks up the basketball near the free throw line, he's got to take a long step. And with that long step, he's not able to throw his body into the shot blocker. And you can see what happens when Anderson catches up to the shot. He just destroyed it.
It's a big bird in your face.
Yeah.
Chris Anderson, 6'10", 228. His 5th year in the league. And didn't play in the last outing against Phoenix and had been on the inactive list for 3 games. So back to work here tonight. All right, Spurs, 2 seconds to go. And on the inbounds, they've got Parker, Berry, Bowen, Robert Horry, and Tim Duncan. With Horry to do the throwing the ball in. Tried to get it to Parker. Instead, it goes the other way, and the long one at the buzzer. No good by Mason. So the Spurs turn it over one more time for good measure.
Yeah, just for good measure. And again, Pop didn't like the look of that play. He expected better execution, and another halftime speech, I fear, is coming.
14 first half turnovers by the Spurs, and they are fortunate to be tied at 37. The Sonic America's Drive-In Halftime Report is next for the latest NBA scores and highlights on FSN. Welcome back. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, the Spurs' leading scorers on the year, both averaging 20 points a game. Talking over here. The Spurs tied at 37. Now, you might recall last night, if you caught the game with the Kings, Spurs had the big first quarter. They led 29-17. The Kings had the second quarter, 27-14. And then the second half was pretty much of a standoff, but the Spurs came out much more active, in particular Tim Duncan. Tony Parker had a great game the entire night, and then Michael Finley capped it off with the game-winning shot. This one, unfortunately, smells more like Atlanta a week ago Saturday.
It really does. And I wouldn't be surprised if everybody in the locker room got a tongue lashing and Pop started smashing aluminum cans and breaking pieces of chalk in half with his bare hands all over again.
Not the crushing of the pop can? Or was that a
Yeah.
home game only deal?
No, that's here.
Okay. All right, let's see what happens. As Smith comes to the rack, draws the foul, and go to the free throw line to start things off in the second half.
And when you have 14 turnovers and you have 6 assists, you've allowed 8 offensive rebounds by the opponent. I think that's, that'll make a coach pull his hair out, especially when you don't execute. And, the last thing, going in the locker room, you turn the ball over and they get a shot going at the basket. You had a shot to make a statement or at least gain a little momentum going in the locker room, and you squandered that. I'm sure the meeting in the locker room wasn't too pleasant.
And the Spurs had just 3 offensive rebounds as J.R. Smith makes it 38-37. And Duncan retrieves this one.
The Spurs replays are brought to you by Chesapeake Energy. Chesapeake Energy.
Parker. Almost turnover number 15.
I was about to say.
We don't mean to dwell on the negative here, but that's the first thing that just popped. It's like, come on, find the handle, Tony.
Yeah.
Give the Hornets some credit, too. Sometimes it's so easy to bash the team that you're pulling for and hoping they're going to win, that the Hornets have had steady energy, even though they've not played particularly well at times.
That is true, but I look at the guys on the floor and don't expect them to force 14 turnovers in the first half. I mean, that's a lot of that is the fact the Spurs probably got in late last night. They're playing an early game again. He's got to clear their heads a little bit.
Foul was on Smith. Here is Parker with it for the Spurs. Spurs trying to win their 4th in a row. The Hornets had lost 5 in a row. Now they've won 2 of their last 3 since that. And a travel is called on Tony.
And there's turnover number 15, and Tony just got himself in a tough spot there along the baseline. He picks the basketball up, and he has a big man on him, and P.J. Brown just covered him up. There's nowhere that he could go with the basketball. Even though Tim Duncan had Chris Paul caught on him, there's no way he could get that pass with the long arms.
Tony picking up Paul full court. See if they can't force the action a little bit here. Here's Desmond Mason. He scored early, got 8 in the first quarter. Mason, the jump hook. Nope, off the hands of West. P.J. Brown got a touch on it, comes off to Parker. Finley. Bruce Bowen. And Bruce hits the 3, and the Spurs come back to take the lead, 40-38.
That looked more like Spurs basketball. Michael Finley doing a great job penetrating along the baseline, finding Bruce Bowen when the defense turns their back.
Spurs shooting 37% from the arc, 10th in the NBA this season. Last year they were 36. A little more firepower with people like Finley and Van Exel joining the party, though. Here is West. And got it in over Rasho Nesterovic to tie it at 40 apiece.
Well, it's easy to see where the improvements have come with this team. Obviously, West is a great improvement. So is Chris Paul at that point guard position. You bring Desmond Mason in. They're not a bad team.
Finley, and Finley hits the 3. So the Spurs respond with some long-range artillery here. And it's 43-40.
His jump shot is absolutely picture perfect. The rotation on it is exactly how you want it to be. Always gives the ball a chance to go in.
Brown with Rasho there. Paul, the little floater. Well, a lot of the folks here in Oklahoma City have said that Chris Paul reminds them somewhat of Tony Parker with his game and the way he plays beyond his years and the control he's under most of the time.
I can definitely see that.
Finley with a baseline jumper, and Michael Finley back-to-back buckets, and the Spurs make it 45-42.
And Michael Finley's feeling it. He's got that confident stride running down the floor. Trying to milk him for all he's worth. Give him the basketball. Let him work along the baseline. Let him work out of double teams. He's got to touch it more.
P.J. Brown. Here's to Paul. 3 on the shot clock. Got to fire over Tony. Can't hit, and the Spurs, a good defensive stance that time.
Ball didn't move very much for the Hornets that time. Ball didn't change sides of the floor.
So the Spurs will bring it up with Parker. Duncan, 10 on the shot clock, back to Tony. Bounce pass to Tim in the layup. What a terrific pass, and tell you what, I know Tim Duncan's a 2-time MVP, but he makes a catch on a ball that's a little bit below his knee. Made it look easy.
I was just going to say that. That's a luxury when you have a big man that has hands like that. I played with a lot of big men outside of David Robinson and Tim Duncan that you throw that pass to them, and it's another turnover.
Yeah, it's a goal like soccer, kicked into the goal. Here is Mason on the drive and showing his strength.
And Bruce wanted an offensive foul there. Desmond Mason throwing his body into Bruce. That's a strong move.
Tony Parker. Coming off the screen to Duncan. Back to Tim. Fires over P.J. Brown, and Tim Duncan gets back-to-back hoops. So first it was Finley for 5. Now it is Tim for 4. And the Spurs have their biggest lead of the night at 5 points.
At least you have 2 guys going, and Bruce Bowen hit a 3 as well. So the Spurs offense playing much more efficiently than they did in the first half anyways.
Paul trying to get it to Mason. Going against Bruce Bowen. Tim Duncan with a rebound. Duncan, 8 points, 4 boards here. Tim rotates it to Bowen. Bruce on the penetration with the left hand. And the rebound comes off to Paul. He pushes. Got Mason. Well, the people here knew he could dunk long before he became a Hornet.
Oh, yeah. There's not a lot Tony Parker could do in that situation. Unless he commits a foul early in that possession, Chris Paul is going to make sure that Desmond Mason has an advantage, gives him the ball at the right time.
Parker on the drive, and he gets the deuce. Paul the other way, got by Tony, slips it off to Mason. Duncan with a piece of it, and Rasho retrieves. Boy, great get back by Spurs.
Yeah, Tim Duncan, especially getting back to block that shot. Desmond Mason thought he could sneak it by him.
Parker in the paint, and foul is called. Tony had Tim coming down the lane. Foul is on Brown. Let's go look at Mason and stuff.
See how quickly Chris Paul pushes that ball in the open court, and Tony Parker knows better than to try to go up there. And you try to go up there and block that shot. Again, you're on Desmond Mason's rookie or his basketball card, his poster, and you're sending him to the line for a 3-point play. He will slam it on you.
Mason, and the dozen here. Season high this year is 26. Brown, you see, picking up his 4th, so he comes out. Jackson Bowman is back in the game for Oklahoma City. 7 on the shot clock for Tony. Fires off the screen. Yeah, and the Spurs, who did shoot it all right in the first half, 45%. They only got 31 shots, and they come out smoking here in the second half. And the Spurs now at 54% from the floor for the game.
That's one shot Tony seems to hit consistently. It's almost like a long floater.
Yeah.
You know,
she's very comfortable, doesn't
as opposed to, you know, catching the ball in a catch and shoot situation like guys like Bruce Bowen and Finley like to catch off the penetration. Tony likes to shoot those floaters. Even that last jump shot, his momentum is moving him forward.
The Spurs are 7 of 8 from the floor in this quarter. Timeout called. Spurs up 53-46.
Brett Barry has a 3. Robert Horry has a 3. Michael Finley joining the club along with Bruce Bowen. Take care of the basketball, you'll get quality shots.
Parker and Finley, 13 each to pace the Spurs. West with 13, Mason a dozen for the Hornets. Here is Tim looking for Barry. There's Paul sneaking in there again, comes up with the steal. Guy is everywhere. Spurs 16th turnover, 8 for Oklahoma City.
The Spurs have to treat the ball like they're getting it from Tiffany's, not like you're getting it from the 99-cent store. I mean, you just can't throw it away arbitrarily just because you want to throw it away. You've got to value the ball. You've got to treasure it.
Byron Scott's reaction. to that call. As Spurs get it back, say, all right, we'll take it. Parker. Back to Rasha, looking to Tim, knocked away, stolen by Paul. You bring that ball down, he's got it. Mason with an exclamation point, and he's fouled.
And that's the point I just made about Tony Parker not trying to contest Desmond Mason. Once he catches the ball in the open court, you are not going to win that battle. Brent Barry learns the hard way. He feels like he can go up there and contest it.
It was like, oh, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, oh no. Yeah. And he's going to the line for one more, and he may be on a highlight film night and all kinds of other paraphernalia.
And just like that, the Spurs that had a lead of 7 see it trimmed to 4. Parker. Barry. Foul. Well, you see a lot of teams, Sean, this year, particularly against the Spurs, they'll go small, and they're having some success with that, aren't they?
Yeah, because they're using their quickness. They're beating the Spurs to loose balls, rebounds. They're using that quickness to penetrate and find players on the perimeter.
I mean, you got Paul out there with Claxton as your guards. The Spurs counting obviously with Tony and with Brent Barry.
And the thing is, with Paul, you have a terrific rebounder at that point guard. Desmond Mason can rebound the ball, and West can as well. And they're quick.
And Brent Barry misses at the line. 5 of 11 on the season, 6 of 12 now for Brent as the Spurs back up by nickel, 54-49. Here is Speedy Claxton from Mason and now to West. Spurs show a little double team. Paul tries to rotate, does. Claxton drives on Barry and then stops on a dime with a fadeaway. Speedy came in averaging 13 a game. 5th year in the league out of Hofstra. Last year split with Golden State and the Hornets. Tony. And out of bounds, Spurs basketball, but no foul.
The referees are not using those whistles today, that's for sure.
Is this a back-to-back for them? And what time did they get in?
Or they have a late flight getting out of Oklahoma City. They want to get back home, or they have dinner reservations.
Tony, I don't blame you, Tony. I'm thinking that doesn't constitute a foul somehow.
Somehow.
I mean, it's got to be. Tim Duncan can hit. And that Panther going tonight.
They're just too hesitant with the basketball right now.
Paul all the way and a foul. Chance to tie.
Tell you what, this guy gets the ball in the open court. Don't try to contest him way out on the floor. You've got to run back to the paint area and hope that your big men are back there to help protect and make him shoot the ball over the top of you on the break.
Doesn't get the three-point play. The rebound by West is tapped out of bounds. Spurs basketball. Barry comes in for Nick Van Exel.
Pop kind of senses that Paul has so much quickness on the perimeter. He wants to come back at him with some length.
Yeah, Nick was not in the line for very long. Shot down low as Tim's got it, won't go. West caught a little elbow there. He's not happy about it. Paul the other way, blocked by Ori and a foul.
Spurs foul on number 9, Tony
Parker picking up the foul.
I don't like the pace of the game right now because every time the ball's coming off the glass or the Hornets are getting a steal, they are pushing the ball. With Speedy Claxton out there and Chris Paul, you have two guys that can push the break as well as anybody in the league.
That's why those numbers you see there, people are saying there's your rookie of the year at the quarter point.
And look at that. First in points, assists, steals.
4th in rebounds? For a point guard?
Yeah, with his size, exactly.
And he's keyed this 6-0 run that has given the Hornets the lead. 55-54. And Berry. Back to Duncan. West. And there's the foul.
Spurs have somehow got to make the Hornets pay for putting a small lineup out there on the floor. Instead, it's paying big dividends for the Hornets.
Yeah, fourth foul on West. And Anderson will come in the game. Remember, Brown is out with 4 fouls.
There's a break here because West has played a dynamite ball game so far, and he's been a thorn from the Spurs side. They really don't have anybody that matches up well with him on the defensive end of the floor. He's been able to put the ball on the floor, penetrate, knock down outside jump shots.
Tim Duncan, 8 points tonight, 4 rebounds. Misses his first free throw. He's 2 of 3 this evening. And the Spurs last night 63% against Sacramento, and it's dropped them to 69.8 for the season, 28th in the league. Duncan hits the second one, and the Spurs tonight are at 75%, 9 of 12.
They're still managing to win ball games, which, again, that's the silver lining. But at the same time, you don't want to see them drop games like games in Atlanta and games tonight, losing to far inferior teams.
Paul, Anderson, climbing the backboards. And the Birdman makes it 57-55 Hornets. Yeah, the Spurs have been winning. Their defense has been great for the most part, and that field goal defense has always been stellar. Berry, he hits the 3. And the three-point shot has bailed them out in a number of these close games, and it's doing it again tonight.
Yeah, it's been there for sure. That's Brent's second of the night. Shot that ball with confidence. Again, Tony Parker making it happen with his penetration and pitch.
Spurs are 5 of 7 from the arc, and this one won't go for Claxton. Bowen, and the Spurs want to run this time. Bruce Bowen the other end, and Broman the foul. Or no foul. Beg your pardon, it should be Spurs ball out of bounds.
Well, it's been that type of night. The Hornets going with that small lineup, doing a terrific job getting back on defense, pushing the ball back at the Spurs on the offensive end of the floor. This time looks like Bruce Bowen might have an easy one, and there's Roman getting back, playing some deep.
10th home game, or the 11th home game, and the largest crowd due to the adding of some extra seats. How about that? Impressive.
That is impressive.
They're 5 and 5 at home. Well, I should say this is their 10th home game here. Their 11th home game overall because they played Baton Rouge in the last game. Parker hits the jumper. The Spurs make it 60-57.
I think he gets on the road and he shoots the ball with so much more confidence. He's not worried about trying to impress the home fans. He's just going to relax out there on the court, try to take it at the opposing team. That time he comes off the screen, shoots it with confidence.
Comes up with a steal here. Circles the wagons, waits for the rest to come down, and out of Berry. Wide open, fakes, cuts back to Rasho. Rasho with a perimeter jumper, yes! So, he is more than Kareem Abdul-Nasterovic. I remember Kareem hitting those.
Hey, going a little Jack Sigma on you, stepping out on the perimeter at 7 feet tall, but I tell you what, Brent Berry was wide open. He was waiting for that pass. If that pass gets there sooner, he has a 3, but I like the results anyways.
Jack Nasterovic, okay. Well, anyway, Rasho's got 8 points along with a couple rebounds. 1:28 to go in the quarter. Mason off the mark, off balance shot. Nice defensive group by the Spurs. Spurs by 5 with the basketball. Robert Horry looks to Berry, posting up down low. Mason came to help, and now Bowen gets by him. Bruce has it blocked by Anderson.
I thought he was going to dunk that one again and start smiling at me.
Ball to Claxton, and he is fouled by Rasho Nasterovic. Tell you what, the more you watch Chris Paul, well, PJ Carlesimo said, if you caught the pregame show on FSN, that he goes, we knew 1 quarter at Bossier City in exhibition, this guy's a player.
Yeah, because he makes the right decisions, he makes the right passes. And you know, you see point guards that are so concerned with assists in this league, and what they'll do is they'll hold the ball till they're sure the guy's in position to make the shot, and they'll give it to him. Give it to him too late, too often. But you see a guy like Chris Paul, he's giving it up to Speedy Claxton in the open court where he can do something with it. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get the assist. He doesn't care about that. The assist will come in the course of the game, but he's giving the ball to guys in their sweet spots, in their comfort zones where they can do something with it, regardless if he's going to get an assist or not. And that is a point guard's mentality.
And that's why he is 10th in the league overall with 7 assists per game. All out of Wake Forest, spent just 2 years there, All-American as a sophomore. And what a lot of the NBA folks really liked about him, he played much better overall, the better the opponent. The NCAA tournament, he was terrific. In key games against highly ranked teams, against great competition, he was better than he was playing against a directional school. Here is Parker. Inside the final minute, 10 on the shot clock. Tony knew he was going to get a block, found Finley, and now Finn off the dribble can't hit. And guess who? Chris Paul again pushing against Van Exel. Out of bounds and back to the Hornets.
Give the Hornets some credit. That was a great defensive stand by them. They covered up everything the Spurs tried to run. Every pick and roll had somebody helping. That ball was thrown across court to Michael Finley. He had a defender running at Hill.
Rasul Butler got the shooter's roll, and it's 62-60 as this third quarter winds down in Oklahoma City.
He's made everything tonight.
Parker with 13 on the shot clock. They had a notion of trying to get a quick one. When they didn't get it, they brought it back out. Van Exel and Nick can't hit the jumper. Rebound comes off to Anderson. Paul, 5 seconds. And flipped it over the board with 1.9. Maybe he does show that he's a rookie occasionally. Well, when he knew Tony went down, it's almost like his lights got as big as saucers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now he's out of my way.
He stepped on the gas pedal. But, you know, it's been consistent here. The Spurs players have been complaining about Paul throwing that off arm. And eventually, he's going to get called for it. He keeps going in there with his penetration, throwing an off arm, trying to keep the shot blockers away. Pretty soon here, he's got to pick up an offensive foul.
Bob never mentioned that at the moment there. Well, interesting contest. It has been rough and tumble here. 62-60. Spurs lead it by a pair as we go to the fourth quarter in OKC. Michael Finley putting the touches on last night's one-point win against Sacramento. They pick up today's Express News. Not too late. Get your Tony Parker All-Star wristband coupon. Take your Express News coupon to participating HEB store location and get your Tony Parker All-Star wristband for just $1. And visit Spurs.com to vote for your favorite Spurs to attend this year's All-Star game. A portion of the wristband proceeds will benefit the Spurs Foundation. So Tony and Tim sit to start the fourth quarter. Roberto, Rasho, Michael Finley, Barry, and Van Exel on the floor. An offensive foul. Rasho Nesterovic picks up his fourth foul. So Rasho with 4. He is the only Spur in real danger. Barry has 3. The Hornets have West and Brown with 4 each.
That's been a huge bonus for the Spurs. Again, David West has been phenomenal in this ballgame.
Claxton with a miss. Finley with a rebound. To Barry. Finley kicks to Van Exel. Finley gets it back and hits the jumper just inside the arc for a 2-pointer. And the Spurs have had their biggest lead of 7 tonight, lead it by 4, 64-60. Hornets' biggest lead has been 6. Neither team able to pull away so far in this one.
And Michael Finley doesn't need a lot of room to get his jump shot off, and he's continuing to work. Thought he had a shot early on in that possession, gave the ball back to Nick Van Exel and went to work.
Speedy Claxton makes it 64-62 as Claxton 5. The Spurs have gotten 15 from Finley and 15 from Parker, the only 2 in double figures. Van Exel moves to Rasho. They back off now to Nick on the baseline. And Nick having trouble finding the range tonight. Here comes Paul. Paul, 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. And Rasul Butler
So that's where going small really helps the Hornets. You have Fabricio Alberto out on Rasul Butler out on the perimeter. He's guarding him near the three-point line.
Finley can't hit. Rasho can't control, but he kept it alive for Alberto. And Fabricio with the bucket. His second basket tonight. Spurs back up a deuce, 66-64.
And that's what Alberto does very well. He has a knack for cleaning up the offensive glass, staying on the board, keeping balls alive.
Butler, and again, this time he hits the three. Somebody's got to guard the guy. I don't care if he's a 25% three-point shooter or not.
Well, there's the big mismatch out there on the floor. Again, you have Rasho and you have Alberto out there, and they're having to guard Butler and Chris Anderson. Butler wants to step out on the perimeter.
That three gives the Hornets the lead. Finley under pressure, and he drains it. Michael Finley feeling it again.
Boy, it's starting to go off now.
17 for Finley on 7 of 12 from the floor.
And he continues to knock down jump shots, and that allows Tony Parker and Tim Duncan to remain on the bench and get more rest.
9 on the shot clock. Butler feeling it again. This one doesn't go, and Finley high for the board. Van Exel will bring it up. Van Exel saw an opening. High floater. Paul bringing it 3-on-2. Just chalked it up. Claxton. Van Exel the other way. And will go to the line for 3. I think 3. Let's see if he was maybe 2. He might have been on the line. Heads up move by Nick Van Exel. It's going to be a
call in here.
Timeout is called with the foul. When we come back, Nick will shoot a pair. Stay with us. Spurs and the Hornets hooked up 69-68 OKC. Welcome back. It's the Spurs and Oklahoma City with it 69-68 here at the Ford Center. Nick Van Exel came down, smart fake, and he'll go to the free throw line after Anderson creamed him, but it will be a 2. Nick had thought he was off the line, trying to show him. We'll take a look, see if the tape will tell us his different story.
Nick is very tricky with that up fake. Throws his body into Chris Anderson. Can't tell from that angle. He thought he was getting 3 free throws.
Inconclusive. Nick 76% on the year. And the Spurs are now 9 of 13 for the night. Oklahoma City is 8 of 12 for 67%. Spurs are shooting 49% from the floor. That's what's maintaining them. They've turned it over 18 times tonight, 4 in the second half. 10 turnovers for the Hornets.
And you cut those turnovers in half. You have 9 or even 10, and you're shooting 49%, and you have a double-digit lead.
Paul, they corral him for the moment. Claxton. Nope. Rebound, Rasho Nesterovic. His 3rd rebound of the night. Van Exel. And Nick. Mailson.
That's usually a shot that he knocks down.
Claxton. P.J. Brown. The rust off the bench and hits the jumper. 2-point Hornet lead.
He can hit that shot with consistency, no question about it. We talked about in the open how he's an underrated shooter from the perimeter. He's known for his defense, but he can also fill it up from the outside.
48% field goal shooter this season. Here is Tim working on P.J. Brown. 8 on the shot clock. Paul comes to double. Back out to Bowen and out of Finley. He had it knocked away, and the steal. Paul drops it off for Claxton over Bowen.
That's just like 2 guards in the playground right there just playing off each other. Chris Paul has eyes in the back of his head. He dropped that ball off to Speedy Claxton, and Speedy's work wasn't done then. Watch this nifty pass. Just beautiful. All of a sudden it's there, it's not there, and then he's got to work to get his shot off and still gets it done.
Impressive. Welcome back to Oklahoma City, where the Hornets have the lead. Hey, the Texas Lotto jackpot has climbed to $34 million this week. You got your ticket? Get it today. Can't win if you don't play. $34 million on the Texas Lotto jackpot. Bill Lance, Sean Elliott with you here. And now the loud arena is living up to its nickname as the Hornets. They have hung tough. They withstood a strong third quarter by the Spurs. And now have taken the lead, had the momentum. It's a 4-point Hornet lead. Spurs basketball with 7:29 to go.
Well, they've got it going in the open court. 20 fast break points to 5 for the Spurs. Obviously, they're hurting the most.
Duncan with a miss and the rebound comes on the deck, and Paul wins that fight too. Chris Paul has got his 7th double-double of the year. 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Wow. Could have a triple-double here.
They got 13 off the bench from Butler, 9 from Claxton, and now here's West, who played well early, and it went off of him out of bounds. Spurs basketball.
He went to the hole hard, but he looked like he wanted the referees to bail him out. He's been extremely quick going to the hole. It's been a very difficult matchup for the Spurs bigs.
Duncan has been held in check. 9 points, 4 rebounds. He's 3 of 9 from the floor tonight. Rasho Nesterovic with the ball out front. And with some screens going on underneath, Rasul Butler is called for a foul. That is his 2nd. And team foul number 2.
Trying to work Michael Finley off some screens. He went off Tim Duncan one time. Tim just turned around, went and re-screened him.
Bowen faked the alley to Duncan instead to Finley. 13 on the shot clock. Hornets have turned it up defensively as well now. Here is Parker, 6 on the shot clock. They're all over Tony, has to fire. Off the mark, and Claxton saves it, and here they come.
Not good offense there by the Spurs. I prefer Tim Duncan even taking that short jump hook in the lane as opposed to Tony taking a desperation 20-footer.
Brown can't hit. Tim, outlet to Finley. Nearly had it stolen by Paul. Chris Paul is absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, he really is.
He's rebounding, he's stealing, he's dishing, he's scoring.
He's sneaky quick. If you can put the ball down one more time and before you pick it up, he's on top of you.
He has been a star tonight. 6:05 to go. Parker's pass to Duncan misconnects, and the Spurs turn it over for the 19th, make it 20th time tonight. Spurs have been averaging 14, forcing 13.
Just one of those nights. The basketball hasn't been valued.
All on the drive, the teardrop. The rebound Bowen. Spurs have been very fortunate here. They've come up with some stops. That lead is still at 4 for the Hornets. They've had a chance to get a little spread on them. Parker, taken away by Claxton.
Play for the Hornets has been absolutely phenomenal. These guys are all over every ball. Watch Tony Parker. Turns around, tries to get the pass out of there. They're coming. Claxton and Chris Paul are coming with quick, strong hands. And they're taking the ball out of the Spurs offensive players' hands. Seemingly every time down the floor, or they're playing passing lanes. Every time they get the basketball, they're going the other way, and the Spurs haven't been able to stop them.
Talk about fearless. Goodness gracious, taking it strong to the rack.
Right at Tim.
Hornets 8 of 12 from the line.
The guards have been fearless.
3-point play, 7-point lead, largest of the night for the Hornets.
You can say Speedy Claxton because he knows his team and he played here in the 03 championship year, and he's obviously in practice every day. But Chris Paul, he's a rookie.
Paul nearly went off without the ball that time. He's so quick. 7-0 run, and Paul trying to add to it. Feeds P.J. Brown. Parker out of bounds. Nope. Yep, and it's Hornets basketball.
Right now, the guys in black, their body language isn't there. The energy, they look like they're already defeated.
5:04 to go. Paul beats Parker.
that's what happens when your body language is bad. You feel like you're defeated. You don't have the right mentality. Chris Paul beats Tony Parker going back door and gets himself even more momentum.
And Paul, the three-point play, a 10-0 run. We saw Bruce Bowen and Michael Finley say, hey, come on, fellas, pick it up here. Parker, stolen by Claxton after the pass was deflected.
Can't say it enough.
Claxton fouled by Bruce Bowen.
Bainouji's coming in now because Pop wants somebody who's going to take care of the basketball. It's not been a good effort tonight as far as taking care of the basketball. Speedy Claxton flat out getting it done. Going at his old team along the baseline in the open court. Giving a drop-off pass from Chris Paul. Creating that shot in the lane, you name it, Speedy Claxton. He's been all over it. Chris Paul's had a sensational ball game.
Butler with a miss, and the rebound, P.J. Brown. Well, in the Hornets, if you're thinking at home, well, hey, these are the Hornets, they'll cave. Well, they did in Baton Rouge 2 nights ago, where they entered the fourth quarter, and they were outscored. They had a big lead. They led 14 after 3, and they end up losing 111-88. West. Thus, I think tonight you see this team play with fire throughout. They know everybody's got a target with the Spurs name on it.
No question.
Duncan on the drive, and Tim takes it to the rack and make it 79-71.
Just no energy right now from the Spurs. A lot more energy and enthusiasm from the Hornets. Of course, they had a couple nights off, and they've been waiting for the Spurs. They didn't play last night. The Spurs getting in late, but still, that's no excuse for not bringing focus. Tim finally gets something to go here in the fourth.
79-71, 3:49 remaining in OKC. And the Hornets have an 8-point lead with 3:49 remaining in the basketball.
Yeah, 22 turnovers for the Spurs and only 10 for the Hornets. And Chris Paul has 1 turnover, 7 assists, and he's got 4 steals.
Devin West had it slapped away, out of bounds. It'll go to the Spurs. So the Spurs come out of the timeout, create the turnover themselves. Now they try to bring it back.
West is trying to go top shelf over the top of Robert Horry. That shows you how much confidence he's playing with.
Robert Horry hits the 3. Everybody that follows basketball, anywhere you go, goes, oh, I remember that guy. Yeah, okay, so.
That's a big, big shot there, Bill, because now you put a little bit of pressure on the Hornets. After what happened to them the other night in Baton Rouge, that big collapse against the Phoenix Suns, you know they have to be a little shy here, coming down the stretch, wondering if they can close out games.
Spurs need another stop. 5 on the shot clock. Devin Mason against Finley, and he gets a foul called on Michael. The Spurs' previous high in turnovers was 20 in Charlotte.
Great execution there. Bainouji coming off the screen. Robert Horry's man is forced to help out. Baino puts the ball right back in Robert Horry's breadbasket.
Horry's got 8 tonight. Spurs have been led by Finley, 17, Parker 15, Duncan with 11. Here is Chris Paul. They have 5 players in double figures. West is one of them. And West now with 15. Also with 15, Paul and Mason. 13 for Butler, a dozen for Claxton. Bainouji. Chris Paul with a steal.
I think his speed and his quickness just surprises people. You try to make the pass, you think it's going to get there, and all of a sudden, there's this little blur, this white blur, and he's there.
Plays 37 minutes a night as well. Paul weaving his way to the hole, kicks it back. 7 on the shot clock for West. And that might have answered your question.
That's a coming out party for West. I know he's had good ball games this year, but he's going against the defending NBA champions, and he's acting like it's just another day at the park.
Devin West with 17 points, 4 rebounds. He's hit 8 of 12 from the floor. And the Spurs in a heap of trouble. Just 2:10 to go, down 83-74.
David West I saw last year.
David West, he has 17 points tonight. He had 9 in the last game against Phoenix, 20 and 12 against the Clippers the game before that. And earlier, a career-high 34 this season. Here is Finley on the drive, and it won't go. Tim kept it off the glass. Rebound to West. And Claxton's got it with 1:56 to go. And the Spurs continue the problems with the second game of back-to-backs. Claxton, no. Rebound, Tim. Here is Tony to Finley for 3. And the rebound to David West again.
They needed one of these last 2 to fall for him.
23 turnovers. The season high, previous high was 20 in Charlotte this season.
See, you can get away with 20 turnovers against a terrible team, but against a team that's waiting for you like this, and you have all guys hitting, no way can you get away with 23 turnovers on the road.
Parker on the drive, spins it up and in. 1:04 to go. Bano comes out with Ori looking for the steal. West comes up with it to Mason, and they'll back it out and work the clock. Robert Ori will be called for the foul on Paul.
Chris Paul's done a masterful job of controlling the tempo of the ball game, pushing the break when he has to, looking for opportunities when they're there, and when they're not there, he breaks it off and he's run offense. Only 1 turnover tonight for the rookie point guard, and that tells you a lot. Hank Egan, when he was here, told me one time, and I've repeated it several times, that only God makes point guards. Coaches can't make point guards. And you have a guy like Chris Paul who's born with that instinct. He knows the game. It comes to him instinctually. He comes out here, you can see when he's running the ball club, he understands tempo, he understands clock, he understands where to get the guys the basketball. He's a natural point guard.
Number 4 pick in the first round, and they're going to make their holiday here tonight. Bano Udrih comes up with it for the Spurs, and a foul call. So the Spurs' problem in back-to-backs, it goes like this. This will be their 4th road loss, and all 4 of them have been on the second of a back-to-back. At Dallas, the first end of their road trip. Washington, that ended that 5-game road trip. Last Saturday night in Atlanta. And now tonight, after they beat Sacramento last night, they're here in Oklahoma City, and West pulls this rebound down, and 87-76. The Spurs season low, 84 at Atlanta. This will eclipse that. And Paul over celebrating with the fans as Claxton takes it to the rack one more time and expected to go in.
It's been that kind of night for him. But it's really been due in large part because they worked hard.
Finley with a miss, and that will do it. Rick Popovich will congratulate Byron Scott. And the New Orleans, Oklahoma City Hornets have just issued the Spurs their 5th loss of the season, 89-76. The Hornets bump into 11-13 as the 2 young point guards visit here. Paul gets the W in this one.
He did a fantastic job. You look at his numbers. When you pick up the paper in the morning, they'll blow you away for a rookie point guard to put those type of numbers up.
So the final score again, San Antonio falls 89-76.